Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Kaufman. I'm from the NYU Rudin Center for Transportation. I understand that I may have been billed on this event as being from MTA, but that hasn't been true for about 3.5 years. But if you don't like anything I say, you can call 511 and talk to the MTA about it. So tonight I'm going to speak with you briefly about blue dots, and I'll get to the meaning of that shortly. So this clicker is an exercise in carpal tunnel. There we go. We've seen a lot of maps tonight, so let's start out with the basic subway map that is the present map. I grabbed from the online version, which is pretty hard to navigate actually, and especially because this is how we use it now. We use it on our phones. This is customer driven. Most transit agencies have a lot of trouble keeping up. But most importantly, the main idea is that we are no longer just map readers. We're no longer just map users or designers or creators. We are actually blue dots. And what does that mean? Well, it means that without us, the map is nothing. It means that the little blue dot, and that's us, all of us, we give the map context and purpose. And when we're trying to get somewhere, it's clear which interface is more useful. On the left, obviously, is the entire subway map system, and on the right, which is also map-based, gives directions and time frames by car, train, bus, walking, bike. It's mode agnostic, like New Yorkers. This feature is thanks in a large part to the open data movement that helps transit agencies release their data, which feeds these apps, much like Eddie showed us. And it's not just in New York. Right now, 292 transit agencies all over the world release their data to the public, making it possible to launch third-party apps and maps. Here's an example, in addition to the great one Eddie provided earlier. NYC Accessible lets disabled riders know where the elevators and escalators are working throughout the subway system in real time. This lets people in wheelchairs actually use the system. When the information is not current, like on the paper map, it is not an accurate or a useful piece of information for someone who uses a wheelchair. So that app uses this real-time information provided by MTA. And how did we get to this great moment of data sharing? Well, this is a sloth. It's how most people imagine transit agencies. It's okay, you can laugh. It's not the alien we saw before, it's a sloth. How do you get reluctant transit agencies to open up their data as we did at the MTA 5 years ago? Well, it turns out not every bone in the sloth is lazy. It can be convinced. Convince people face to face, one by one. Or in other words, in the terminology that my mother uses, you can be a nudge. And that is how you get people to change their minds. The release of open data has given rise to a new reality. Traditional single mode-based maps that show only subways or only bus or only roads are decreasing in relevance. Travelers prefer point-to-point directions using the easiest and fastest mode. More importantly, we're not just reading maps, we're not just using them, we're generating them, both intentionally on services like Instagram and other social services, and unintentionally with our GPS breadcrumbs and our phone locators. These patterns are indicators of the new cartography, which is based on unprecedented two-way dialogue between maps and their users. The maps project information like routes, and users reflect information like their usage of the system. Here's an example. This is the Rudin Center's job access map, showing neighborhoods of all the jobs available within 1 hour on transit from where we stand now here in the East Village. This map was designed with Richard Dunks, who is in the audience today, so say hi to him later. Using data and maps like these, we can draw attention to gaps in service, we can improve access to jobs and education, and overall make a major difference in New Yorkers' lives. And we look at city bike rides and the distinctive split between men who love to ride in Midtown and women who bike primarily in Brooklyn. By mapping out the data, we can learn a lot about safety concerns and infrastructure needs. So by giving our maps context and purpose, by learning from our blue dots, we gain insights about access, equality, and safety. We turn these lessons into policies, and that is the new cartography. Perhaps blue dots aren't such a bad thing after all. Thank you.